Tales of Kenzera is a Metroidvania set between deserts, forests and rocky mountains. In this video we take a closer look at how the game is experienced on the Nintendo Switch and whether it's worth buying. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and give a thumbs up. Let's go! Grief, an emotion we all feel from time to time, and grief is something that permeates this game as well. This is the story of a boy who lost his father, but our protagonist named ZAU thinks he has found a solution. He has sought the god of death in order to be able to reunite with his lost one, but that means ZAU has to make some sacrifices. He must embark on a long adventure and bring peace to three great spirits. It is the price he must pay to see his father again. During the course of the game, we are often told about ZAU's relationship with both his mother and father, a narrative angle that reinforces how we experience our protagonist. We get to see how he himself processes his emotions and how he perceives his past. It is a rather heavy story, but at the same time there are important points that are worth remembering. Above all, how we as humans relate to each other, and especially how we take care of our relatives. For me, this journey began in pure grief. And I don't mean because of the game's narrative. After I have played for a couple of hours, the unthinkable happened. The game locked up, and nothing could be saved. I tried restoring from a previous save point, but the game offers no such solutions. It's about this lever that for some reason is pointing the wrong way. I am simply locked out, and I can't reach the lever. It's on the wrong side of the fence. I was extremely close to shelving the game. It was really annoying to lose almost 4 hours of gameplay. But I decided to play around for a while and discovered this glitch. I managed to jump through a waterfall and crashed out of the game. So here I am, locked out and running around outside the game world itself. Sometimes it's just strange how things can come together. But anyway, Tales of Kenzera is, as I said, a Metroidvania that contains many of the classic elements that are significant to the genre. You run around in maze-like systems, you have a map at your disposal, you can find items that give you new skills, and you face a plethora of enemies and bosses. When I play Metroidvania games, I prefer to have a map available on the actual game screen, something that seems to be lacking in this game. So I found myself constantly switching between the game screen and the map screen, because the fact is that this is a relatively large game with many intricate passages and paths. It's easy to get lost, so it would have been to the game's advantage if there was a map on the game screen. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be such an option, not even in the menus. In the game, you fight against tons of enemies, however, it is usually the same models that you encounter. There is a flying lizard, a static enemy that shoots fireballs, a melee enemy, and a larger monster that uses a shield. These enemies keep coming back. Unfortunately, it gets a bit monotonous in the long run, and here I would have liked a greater variety. What stands out, however, are the bosses, who are completely unique and actually quite entertaining to face. The game's first boss is a massive dragon that has a variety of attacks and moves. They can be quite difficult to tackle, but you can set the difficulty, easy, medium or hard. So if you think something is too difficult, you can easily lower the degree of difficulty. In battle, you can use both melee and ranged attacks, and there is the option to unlock and upgrade a couple of your abilities. Unfortunately, it feels like more work should have been put into developing the weapons you use. I saw myself using the same weapons basically throughout the game, with some modifications. Sure, there are some special attacks that can be really useful, but they cost a lot to use, so I saved those for important occasions. You can also unlock a couple of attacks that are different but don't really make a big difference, at least not in the way I chose to play. What worked for me was to eliminate most enemies with a ranged weapon and then switch to the melee weapon when the situation was right. Rather monotonous but effective. What I want to highlight, however, are all the abilities you learn during the course of the game. I find these abilities quite interesting and fun to use. For example, you can learn to freeze water and thus create new paths. You can also throw javelins to open doors and build and destroy certain objects. These abilities actually add to the game's entertainment value. When you learn a new ability, you will most likely use it to advance in the game, but it can also be worth returning to previous locations to see if one's abilities can come in handy. In this sense, the game takes advantage of what is significant for a Metroidvania: to explore environments. The world you run around in is very nuanced and colorful. It is noticeable that a lot of work went into creating detailed areas, and it looks perfectly fine on the Nintendo Switch, although it's clear that some sacrifices have been made. After watching a couple of game videos on PC, I would like to say that if you want the best graphical experience, then maybe you shouldn't choose the Nintendo Switch version. It looks much better on PC, but despite that, it's a fully functional version we got for the Switch, and visually it looks relatively good no matter what area you're running around in. We have a forest area, a place where magma flows, and lots of dark underground systems, so there is a palette of places to explore. And besides, it flows very well, despite the problems I had with getting locked out and discovering a glitch. This has been an adventure without any major issues. The game hasn't crashed, and I don't think there are any major frame rate issues either. However, I recommend that you experiment with the brightness, because if you follow the recommendations, it will be very dark. I had to turn up the brightness to be able to see what was going on in the game. So, should you buy Tales of Kenzera? I would like to answer yes to that question, especially if you appreciate Metroidvanias that have a rich narrative combined with a different aesthetic. But in terms of gameplay, not much new is presented, especially not when it comes to the battles or the weapons you have access to. Here I would have liked a larger selection of both enemies and new weapons. I did like the bosses though, they were pretty fun. However, I want to highlight all the abilities that you learn during the course of the game. They are quite unique and add to the entertainment value of the game, so my overall impression is that this is a Metroidvania that offers plenty of exploration but without really taking the genre to the next level. It's not a bad game, and if you like Metroidvanias, then it might be worth a purchase. $20 in Nintendo's eShop. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, I review new games every week. Have a nice day, see ya!